What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Average Joe Sports Podcast. As always, it's your host Don, and I got my boy with me Albert here as well. What's up, my man? How you doing?
What's up, brother? A couple of weeks away, but I come right back for a fantasy recap, man. It's a quiet season during sports, so we're just milking all the fantasy content we can. But glad to be back, talk some sports again with you, man. Can't go wrong with that.
Absolutely, man. Dynasty obviously is in full swing. We've gotten a couple leagues in. Our last
Facts.
video, we got to kind of dissect the early rounds of Baldy's league. Today, we'll be dissecting our league in which we've been together for almost probably about 5 to 7 years, getting close, itching closer to the 10-year mark. But nonetheless, we finally converted over from redraft to dynasty. So we wanted to share our first year dynasty league startup with you guys and kind of go line for line, pick for pick, and kind of show you our ideology, just our thought process on why we did what we did, and our thoughts on others' picks as well. So, without further ado, we will be able to share our draft picks.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
let's do it. I mean,
So,
like we talked about before, the other one was our first dynasty. I'm glad we got to hold our hands through it. I didn't trade as much as I wanted to in that draft. I was trying a little bit, but I wasn't as aggressive as I was with this
the
draft.
pressure was on. The pressure was
Yeah,
on.
yeah. It worked out nicely for me. I didn't. I mean, I picked a lot of solid value in my last draft, but I could have hopped
Right.
around a little bit more and made the most of it because I wasn't really young that last draft. But I liked what I did in this draft.
Yeah, for sure. And you can definitely see how leagues can vary right before
Yeah.
we get into the draft, how certain positions were prioritized.
Like this is our first
Quarter,
dynasty. Like the other one was redraft, right? And this is our first
yeah,
dynasty in
yeah,
this league. And we talked about it with a week or two before it got started. It's like, is it gonna be like as many trades as the other one we did? Like, nah, probably not. These guys, I'm not too sure if we're gonna be able to hop around. It might value picks more or less, and might be a little like stingy with their where they're at. But like, I'm happy with how it went, with how open people were willing to trade.
yeah.
That is what makes Dynasty so fun is hopping around each pick with a startup. The startup is like the grand blitz. The start of your it's like it's the big giant fucking tamale, big giant fucking I don't know parade to start your league. There's no other startups that happen throughout your career of a dynasty league. So it happens once, and just to make the most of it and trade around is cool, man.
Yeah, you got to take advantage of trading around. I was pleasantly surprised at how much people were willing to start trading around. Obviously, we had the pre-draft trade, but then things were kind of halted and people were kind of still trying to test the waters. But everybody values different players, so it only makes sense for people to kind of move around the draft board to capture some of the guys that they like. And if
Yeah.
they don't like a guy, they can move back and gain future resources. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. We had a interesting situation at the 1-1 position. We had your brother-in-law, we had SB going
SB.
Justin Herbert. And interesting enough, I think we all knew. I mean, obviously he's a big Chargers fan. We all knew that this probably was the pick, but we didn't know, right? Because a lot of the ADPs, if you will, or the rankings had probably Josh Allen over Herbert, but we knew that this was a good possibility, and he ended up going Justin Herbert.
He did it.
Um,
Good feeling for him. Be a Chargers fan. It's you don't see him going one. I say Allen goes about 90% of the time,
right.
but it's not like he reached for Jackson or Murray there. It makes sense, and he's younger.
Yep.
He had a crazy rookie year and second year, and
Yep.
he could pass Allen up, but Allen is a better quarterback right now. But Herbert is he's trending that way to be just as good as Allen. I would say
Yeah,
Herbert is.
yeah. So it
So
wasn't a crazy reach there
no,
to get
no,
Herbert at 1-1. I think that was a good opportunity for him as a Charger fan to get his guy and it for it to be justified, right?
yeah,
And then obviously Josh Allen. This had to be the pick, right? Yeah, Josh
yeah.
Allen at 1-2, and then Grandma's Cookies, my boy Dominic or John in the chat went Patrick Mahomes. So no surprise. I mean, a little surprise there in terms of Herbert going first, but I mean, as we all expected, those three guys were the top three picks. And then we had our first shocker, Marcel. He went Jamar Chase at 4, and we all know Jamar Chase is talented. I think he's 20, 21. He's one of the best non-quarterbacks in terms of dynasty. but still a little bit of surprise. What was your thought process? Were you shocked when he went 104?
Yeah, man. I knew he had a lot of I don't know hype around him going into the season. He had one of the best rookie years of a receiver anyone could ask for. And I thought if a positional player would go, it'd be JT, especially with how our league values running backs, or yeah, how they score a little heavier than receivers. But I
Right.
mean, Chase, he's a baller. I don't know. I still would want quarterback here, being it's a super flex dynasty. I know he was asking to trade back, so maybe I guess he couldn't find a trade back like 2 or 3 spots.
Yeah.
I mean, if he traded past Chi-Town, maybe Chi-Town would have took Jamar. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, it's a little surprising, but generational talent. He is him, Jefferson, Pitts, and JT. I think are the generational like can't touch pieces right now. So he got his guy, and I like that. I like getting your guy. But if I would have went quarterback there. But get your guy for it.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same boat here. So no disagreement so far. I think Chase. I think he's obviously a great option in terms of non-quarterback, but I think it's super flex. I'm going to go quarterback there. I'm going to probably go Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I'll probably go Lamar Jackson. If I'm not, my pick is either Lamar Jackson or Jonathan Taylor at probably 1-4. Chase, as you can see, Justin Jefferson, which we'll get to, went later first round. I think he still would have been there. I think Tex Gab, who obviously you traded back. We'll talk about in a second. I think he was going to go Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, I just think Jonathan Taylor was probably the move there. We'll see how it pans out for him. And then talk to me. You moved back, obviously. You want to talk about the details of that trade? You at the 1-5.
I made I was talking to a couple people towards the end. Tex Gab, like the 9, 10, 11 picks, 12 picks. I was trying to get towards the end of the round. I thought Marcelo was going to go Lamar, so he didn't, which kind of screwed up my plans a little bit. I don't like Kyler as much as everyone else does. I was going to pick between Burrow, Kyler, Watson, even Lance. So I was trying to get 3 or 4 spots back, and I was hoping someone like Jefferson, Chase, and JT would go in that range too. So I was even willing to bet to go to the 10, 11, 12 spot, knowing I would get one of those 3 quarterbacks I was aiming for. And I was able to go back to the 8 spot, I think it is, and Joe Burrow went. I picked Joe Burrow there, but my trade. Let's see, the trade I got. I was trying to go back in first and do a couple round swaps. So I traded the 108. The 1405 and the 508 for I traded the 105, 1008, 505, went back 108, moved back from the 10 round to the 14th round.
14th.
Yeah. And then got a first round pick next year for that. So
right.
I was trying to trade back as little as I can with getting a first round back in next year, because we know I love next year's draft, and I think 14 to 10 is not the biggest skill gap there. Kind of finishing out your starting flex spots there. I was willing to, and I thought I would trade back in the next few rounds, and I was able to get like a 10th round, get that missing 10th round that I traded away. So it worked out, man. I got Joe Burrow. I ended up getting Joe Burrow with that pick, and I mean, I was going to pick him probably at 4 or 5, or 5 or 6 if I was able to trade back one spot.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson, missing out Lamar Jackson, it hurts, but Joe Burrow, I love him, man. He has Chase. He's not the youngest guy. He has Chase. He has Higgins. He's still trending up, man. So I like it. Good pick by me. Good.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think it was kind of me watching this and watching our trades. I think there was a bit of a seesaw, right? Because Chase, I think it kind of hurted our value a little bit in terms of what was the right decision for us to trade. But then we had other things happen, right? Like, for example, you traded out of the 1-5, went to 1-8. I'm sure Chase was not a bad thing, but you're thinking, okay, Lamar Jackson was still there with me. But then you had Najee Harris at 1-6 go.
When Najee going right there, it helped me, so I could either get one of Lamar Burrow, and that's who I wanted. Yep. And I had Watson in my last league, so I didn't want to double dip them in Watson. So I was more likely going one of those. Yeah, I was wanting to go one of those 2 guys, and it worked out perfectly.
Right. So just touching really quick on this trade here, I traded back from 1-6 to actually 2-10. And I had got the 210, and I got a next year first, and I believe it was a 13-3 for that trade at this time. And that's when he went Najee Harris, and we'll kind of complete that trade full circle later on. So yeah, Najee Harris, Lamar Jackson, you went Joe Burrow, and then Justin Jefferson. I think Anthony, that was probably at that point the right pick. You're not going to go Dak there; it's a little bit too early.
Yeah.
And definitely not going to go Jalen Hurts.
You make the
And then
argument for
Kyler,
Watson, but
yeah, and then Kyler Murray. So first round, I'll tell you right now, Jalen Hurts was probably by far the biggest reach in the first round. We know that what he can do from on a year to year basis, but question is, how long is he going to be the quarterback? I mean, there is a
yeah,
world in which he could get replaced this year even.
yeah. This is definitely a 1 year prove it deal, I think, for him. The Eagles have the draft capital to move up to get solidify their quarterback spot next year.
Right,
Jalen Hurts, I like him in a redraft. I think I said before, but
right,
they don't have the draft capital. They haven't like put the draft capital into their quarterback position like the Knights have with Lance to give it a good 3 to 4 year chance. Like they only put a second or third round pick into Hurts, so they can move on pretty easily
right.
if they want to. If they don't like what they see, I probably would pick Lance there. But it's a quarterback. It's a super flex league. I'm glad he got a quarterback, but it is probably a little bit of a reach. I mean, Watson was on
Yeah,
the board too, but um, the best
yeah.
value too is probably 12 at Kyler, man. Kyler
Oh
usually
yeah,
goes from between the 5, 6, 7 spot and him, with Najee going before him, um, and Hurts, and even Prescott. Prescott, Hurts, and Najee never go before him, and that just worked out
yeah.
for the
It
12
worked out
spot
for
there.
for Gomez. Yeah, and I was
Yeah,
kind of
that
shocked
is
because
crazy value.
Dominic Grandma's Cookies, he actually lives in Arizona. Touch base. I'm not sure if he's a Cardinal fan. I always see him selling Cardinal tickets. I'd assume that he's a Cardinal fan, but I just thought that for sure he was going to end up with Patrick Mahomes and Kyler Murray. Like that makes sense. You go and you trade up, you trade your next year pick, you trade all that, and to get your two young quarterbacks. But
Yeah,
it wasn't the case.
no,
Okay. Then we have C-Mac at the turn. Perhaps that's a little bit early, but that's kind of not too far off from where he's gone. He's gone probably as early as probably the 110 or whatever to probably the, I don't know, 210 is the range
the
for
210
C-Mac.
is
So
probably where I like him to be.
yeah. So
The
then you
210 is
have,
probably.
and then you had another reach here, probably Dalvin Cook at 2-2. Yeah, I don't, I think we've seen him in the other league go in the third round, I believe, third
Yeah,
or fourth round.
fourth to fifth, I would like him to be. Yeah, third to fourth turn, fourth or fifth round. I'm cool with that. There, second round, that's a little rich for my taste, but he's gonna give you a good. He's a solid redraft running back. He's a 3 down back, PPR monster.
Yep.
He has the Rams offensive coordinator taking over as a head coaching gig, so he might get some offensive
Yeah.
explosion on the side. So
Yeah, I've been seeing some rumors from, obviously this is off season, but him lining up and receiver sets and whatnot. So interested to see how they're going to utilize him.
yeah,
So your boy Madison might get some more play, and you might see some 2 running back sets in there. But it just seems like it was too much of a reach. He's always getting hurt, and let's see how they, what they're going to do about that contract. Are they going to move on? I think there's a potential opt out after this year. So we'll see what happens to Dalvin Cook, Cooper Cup. So as you can see, a lot of kind of win now players going on in this range, which I love
yeah,
at
yeah.
coming up at the.
So as this is
So
happening, I'm kind of developing the strategy of like, all right, maybe I'll go kind of like my other league of kind of like younger players, trade back, get kind of more assets in the future,
right,
which I'm okay with, but it's whatever. Kick the can down the road a little bit, kind of just getting value where I can and not getting the prettiest team. So that was when I was like texting you when this was happening. I was like, all right, we'll kind of staying fluid still, kind of just thinking what the league is going to be like, what's the atmosphere going to be. So it's kind of
right,
more focused on the win now, guys, so far.
right. Then you had Deshaun Watson, obviously Anthony started off with Justin Jefferson. So Deshaun Watson, obviously the legal issues, but we thought this was one of the better 1-2 starts, right? Justin Jefferson, Deshaun
Yeah,
Watson. off to a great start, which we'll get to him in a second in terms of what he did for the rest of the draft. But Justin Jefferson, Deshaun
Started
Watson.
strong. Started strong. Jefferson, the top 2 receiver. You can make an argument for top 1. Watson, I think he's a top 5 quarterback. I drafted him top 4 or 5 in my other league. There's a lot of legal shit going on, but he has all the talent in the world, rushing and passing. And the Browns have a lot of investment in him.
Right. And then you had Tex Gab. Obviously, he made the trade up. So with you, I thought that this was another strong start in terms of what he's trying to do. Right, trying to win now, and he got the best win now player, Jonathan Taylor, kind of tailored to our, no pun intended, tailored to our scoring setting, and then getting Russell Wilson. I think that was a good 1-2 punch. Kyle Pitts. I was really hoping that he would fail to me, but honestly, once Russell Wilson was drafted, it was kind of like the Najee Harris situation for me. I knew that I wanted either Lamb or Pitts, and I knew that I was going to be happy with either one. So Kyle Pitts, of course, went at the 2-6 spot. So another strong start here. You had for Chi-Town, you had Lamar Jackson and Kyle Pitts. I mean, they're both young players that have just. I mean, the sky is the limit, right? I mean, they're young players that have significant floors, but also have higher ceilings as well. Kyle Pitts is 21 years old, so great pick there, great start there. And then of course, I think at that point, I knew I wanted to go Lamb. This is my first pick, of course. I just wanted to make sure, make sure of that, right? Obviously, the first pick, your nerves, you're like, okay, make sure I'm making the right decision. But as soon as he picked Kyle Pitts, I knew I pivoted in my mind that I wanted Lamb. I honestly had Lamb more. I've seen him go in the first round, but definitely no. Like I know he went in the third round, which is crazy. I think a lot of receivers fell because of the quarterbacks and running backs were going so fast in the other draft. But CeeDee Lamb was in probably like my 110 to about 2.5 range.
Yeah,
in terms of what I think he should be.
Especially after the AJ Brown trade and then the Cooper trade too. I think CeeDee Lamb's firmly in the wide receiver 3 spot for me.
Right. And then you had Trey Lance, which obviously that I'm not against, but I just kind of fell off of. Well, give me your thought process outside of, obviously you're a Niner fan.
Yeah, so once Russell Wilson went, I knew I was going to get 3 of my favorite targets in the second round where I was at. I was going to get Kyle Pitts, Lamb, or Trey Lance. I was okay with whatever. And this being a super flex, I kind of always want to lock in my 2 quarterbacks because when you go through rounds 3 to 7 or 8, 9, 10, or 11, you're kind of hunting, kind of hoping a quarterback falls to you and trying to play like the wishing game here. So I love to lock in. It's my first time locking in 2 quarterbacks there. Trey Lance, 21, 22 years old. Tons of rushing upside, just like Kyler Lamar. Probably a top 5 situation going into this year. One of the better lines, great receiving core. Kyle Shanahan, one of the better play callers. He has Kittle too, one of the top 6 tight end. I'm a big Trey Lance fan. A lot of people are down on him. His name is a polarizing, it gets a lot of movement going, saying his name in like a headline or ESPN. They'll make a big claim about him that it's really clickbait, and they know what they're doing when they put his name in the headline. But I think he hasn't shown what he completely is yet. Obviously, with 2 games started last year, but I got high hopes for him. Obviously, I don't think he's going to be Josh Allen, Herbert, or Mahomes this year, but I think he could be a top 8 quarterback this year, fantasy at least. And this is what we're playing fantasy. He's not going to be.
Oh shit, we're playing fantasy.
He's not going to be throwing for 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns and 1 interception like Rodgers and Brady. But I mean, for fantasy, I love me some Lance. So that was an easy pick right there. I kind of thought about Hall, but I mean, I'm pretty sure the 1, 2, 3 guys, or the one guy, the second Buster is a Niner fan. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
No. Buster. Buster's the Eagle fan. That's what started the trade. What helped with the trade, we'll get to.
Okay. So who's the Niner fan? Is it Gene and Big Bubba?
Yeah, Bubba's a Packer fan. That's why you traded the Aaron Jones.
Gotcha. And Gene.
Yeah, Gene is the Niner fan.
Gotcha. I don't know. I had to lock down 2 quarterbacks, so I picked Lance.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple receivers I thought would hopefully come around, and we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I think for Lance, we joke around a lot. I just think that I don't think it's a bad pick. but I've pivoted from a point where the once upon a time getting him at a 2.8, we were both like giddy, like wow, that was a steal, and I just don't feel that way anymore.
I
I
do.
think it's an appropriate spot,
I
but
was at the
we'll
Joe
see.
Burrow pick. At my Joe Burrow pick, I was gonna trade back a few more and maybe get like 2 7 round picks or another third round pick and pick Lance first, to be honest. But
Right?
um, it was too risky. I like Joe Burrow. He's really just solidified himself into a top 6 quarterback, top 8 quarterback in fantasy. So I picked that, and I was lucky enough to get Trey Lance on my without moving around. I was kind of asking these guys before me if they wanted to trade back a bit, and they didn't. Um, so
Yeah.
and
Did
it
you
worked
think
out.
that I would go Lance at all?
You for every mock draft, you put Lance in there,
Yeah.
and but like every time you did that, you would say like you didn't like Lance as much. So I wasn't really sure where you wanted to go. You mocked
A
Lance, but
little
you said you didn't
small.
really you say yeah, man. God, I've been smoking mirrors with you. And then
Yeah, man.
we were texting when you picked, and I was like, hurry up and give me Lamb as a little like
Yeah.
hey like pick like a little reverse psychology, hoping that Lance would fall to me because I did want Lance a little bit more than Lamb. And he
Yeah.
picked Lamb. He picked Lamb. So
Yeah, no,
that was
I think if Lamb was there, it would have forced my hand. I would have maybe taken the risk, but I would have loved it. I think like for example, if you swap out Tex Gab, he got Lamb for some reason, and then Pitts went, and then it's Wilson or Lance. I think ultimately I still would have went Wilson because I want the for sure thing, and I think
yeah.
Wilson's in great shape. I think Wilson could play at least another 4 to 5 years. But yeah, so Lance, and then you have Brees Hall. When Marcel went chasing Brees Hall.
That's a
Um,
good one. That's a good one to pick. I just hate that Chase went 4. But if you told me that was like the 1 7, Chase was the 1 7, and then like I don't
yeah,
know. That's a good 2 start. You can't get much better running back and receiver start than that.
yeah, for sure. I mean, he's set up for the future here, and
Yeah,
then players that potentially can produce now as well.
definitely.
Um, and then I drafted AJ Brown. This kind of
This is your pick, huh?
Yeah, this like we talked about this offline. I originally traded, back to the 210. In kind of retrospect, I don't say the value would have been it would have been okay. It would have been dependent. It would have been too dependent on what he did. And now what I've traded when I got AJ Brown and I was on the phone with Marcel, so on the phone with Marcel a lot. Uh, basically I drafted AJ Brown and I knew that Patrick Buster was after me and I knew that he was a huge Eagles fan and he hit me up right after that. And after that, I traded AJ Brown, the 210, for a 6 round pick, and the 3rd round pick, which turned into T Higgins. So ultimately, it worked out for me.
So you
Ultimately,
just downgraded from AJ Brown and T Higgins for a 6 round pick.
yep. Basically,
Which is I like that. I like that a lot. T Higgins, high octane offense, younger than AJ
yeah,
Brown, a little better of a passing offense than AJ Brown. AJ Brown has proved more in the fantasy world. The dynasty community is really high on T Higgins, and I was too. I mean, I've been trying to pick him up in redraft for the past 2 years. I think I made a really silly trade with you last year for T Higgins, thinking he would kind of
yep,
pop more, but he didn't.
yeah,
A little bit towards the end he did, but CD Lamb kind of
yeah.
popped a
I
little
think he
bit
finished
more.
like wide receiver 24 or something like that.
Yeah, he had
Um,
really 2 top 3, top 5 wide receiver finishes, but the CD Lamb kind of produced a little more. And Lance didn't play. That was the whole. Yeah, if Lance played, it looked a little different.
yep. And so yeah, obviously trading away AJ Brown almost instantly. Because
Yeah,
Debo went after me to Buster, then Javante Williams, then you had Devontae Adams, and then the T Higgins where I was up on the clock when he hit me up, and I said, okay, I'll take T Higgins, and then we made the trade. But going back, Debo seemed like this was a little early for me. I would have went Javante Williams probably.
I would have went
Um,
Javante or Swift
yeah, Swift, Devontae or Swift for sure.
easily.
Yeah,
But
the
Debo's on a back
Debo.
pick. I mean, he's a good player
Yeah,
this
I
year.
just 3rd round. Yeah, I just for the future. I don't know. It just seems like his game won't age as well.
No,
Um, but yeah, so Devontae Williams. That's a good 1-2 start for him, and he had
Javante Herbert. Yeah, Javante at the turn
and then
and
he made his
Adams.
decision, right? He
Yeah, that was the turning point right there. One now or kind of settle for the future more. Devontae Adams, he's gonna get a lot of looks. He's gonna get a lot of looks in the Raiders offense.
Yeah, I think I would have if I would have doubled down considering the scoring, and then honestly, you still have like a little bit of flexibility, honestly, in terms of what you want to
Swift.
do. I think what it was Swift.
I
Like you
love
had
Swift
Herbert, Williams,
and
and
just
Swift.
and hammered receivers from fucking 4 to 7.
Oh man, that would have been an insane start right there.
Yeah,
Herbert, Williams, and Swift.
and then you get Deontay Johnson. You'll get like Marquise Brown, and then like not Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas, like as your next receivers. That could have worked out nicely, but it's Deontay Adams not.
Yeah. No, I mean, for this year, he's still solid. He could potentially finish as
and he's going round three or 4.
Yeah.
So
we got T. Higgins, obviously went there, and then Joe Mixon for Grandma Cookie. So we have Mahomes, Brown, and Joe Mixon. Or excuse me, not Brown. We have Mahomes, Harris, and Joe Mixon. So yeah, strong start. Obviously, this team finished in terms of being strong for this year. It's one of the better teams. I fully foresee him competing for the title.
Do me a favor, click on the little icons like that guy. Yeah, so you could do that too.
Yeah, so he's got Harris, Mixon, Kamara, Kittle, Evans. Yeah, this team was built to win now. We'll see what happens with Kamara with his suspension. But
hammering down through 2 running backs. Mixon, I'm not the biggest Mixon fan this year. Redraft, I love me some Mixon a little bit, but yeah, it was. I mean, I'm coming up in a couple turns. I would have went with Swift, or we'll get to me when I come. But Mixon's a solid pick. I'm not that big, the biggest of a reach. Looking at the running backs ahead of him or after him, Barkley, Henry, can't really go can't do Henry, Chubb, no. So if you wanted a running back, that was the running back to pick pretty much. I mean, besides Swift.
Yeah. Then so Marcel went. So you got Chase, Hall, and Swift here. Obviously, another great start, right? 3 picks. The only caveat to this is that he still doesn't have his quarterback, which we'll kind of play with the rest of the draft. But this, I mean, it's kind of tough, right? Because at Chase, that's when he should have got it. And then here, with Lance, Wilson, Watson all picked, it kind of makes sense. This makes sense to go Hall. And then here, obviously, what do? You get Reach and get T-Law already, or maybe a Stafford, honestly. But
Stafford, I was
Stafford
thinking Stafford would have gone right here, or at least trade back. Like if you don't, I mean, Swift's hard to pass up on, but like trade back if you think you can get your guy a little further back, like Stafford. If you don't want to double down on running back.
Yeah, but it's obviously if you're going to do it, it's with these 2 young studs, right?
Yeah,
2 guys that'll be here.
Those are 2 top 5 running backs and a top receiver. So I get what he's doing, but
then you got Mark Andrews. So talk to me, Mr. Tight End.
Mr. Tight End. I keep telling you that I'm not a big tight end guy. I don't get the top guys, but here I am the past 2 years getting Pitts, Kelsey, and Andrews. They just fall in my lap. I don't know. It just made sense to me here. I didn't want to get a running back. That was probably I wasn't even thinking about running backs. I wasn't going to get Barkley, Henry, Eckler, Akers, not at the 3rd round pick. Receivers, Waddle was probably my closest pick to this guy. Metcalf.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little early, like early 3rd. I did want to trade, I wasn't sure how hungry this room was going to be for Mark Andrews, arguably the best tight end in Dynasty or redraft.
Right.
In a perfect world, I would have traded to 3 or 4 spots ahead and picked Andrews and get some more draft capital. But I think he's going to be a beast this year. He traded away Marquise Brown. He's with the Cardinals now. He tore it up last year. He's still only 25, 26, I think. So I just stayed put and picked Mark Andrews to just solidify the 2 biggest positions to really lock down in Dynasty, which is tight end and quarterback, the 2 quarterback positions, if Lance works out. So Burrow, Lance, Mark Andrews solidify my core hardest positions to lock down for the future. So that was my thinking. I think I'm okay with it. I'm not too sure if you like the tight end that early. I think you like it more around the 7, 8, 9 range.
I think you got to adjust the draft board. I think Andrews I probably would have thought about it too, honestly, in retrospect. When guys like Andrews fall, DeAndre Swift fall, yeah, I totally get it why Marcel doubled down on running backs, and I get why you went tight end. Those are the
Yeah.
guys to do it.
I would have
Um,
went if Andrews went before me. I would have went Swift or Higgins.
yeah,
Higgins would have got that Burrow stack, and then Swift, well, top three tight end or top three running back in my book, and I would have just went like hero RB instead of the zero RB. Would have went hero RB and kind of just figured
yep,
out tight end later. But Andrews, I love that. He's going to be a baller this year, and no doubt in my mind.
right, for sure. The question is, will Andrews be on your team at the end of the year?
That's the question. That's a big question right
That's
there.
the real
We'll
question.
see. Yeah, that is a big question there.
Yeah, let's start firing on. So, obviously, I went Lamb and I have Higgins. So I have two, my top 10 receivers, top 10 receivers in Dynasty that I wanted, and then I need quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence is someone that obviously you couldn't trade for last year. Before the season started. Generational talent. It seems just all the different factors that contributed to that could contribute to him bouncing back. New coach and Doug Peterson that has experience grooming young quarterbacks. You got the
A lot
100
more
million that
investments in the receivers. Yeah.
yep, 100 million that Zay Jones and Christian Kirk, offensive lineman Terran Armstead. So a lot of $100 million dollars was spent in free agency here for Trevor Lawrence. I think there will be just a different culture. I also read up on him that he actually performed just from the interim coach. I think his completion percentage was like 56% with Urban Meyer, and it was like jumped up to like 65 with the interim coach.
Yeah.
So I think a full off season with all these different weapons, I think he's going to produce. I think he's going to turn it around and show why he was the 101 last year in the real draft. So Trevor Lawrence was a pick. Saquon Barkley went here. Lamar Jackson, Pitts, Barkley. Barkley's one of those hit or miss guys. If you either believe strongly in him or you don't.
I still believe in him. I still believe in him. I don't think you are sold as much as in him as I am. But I think this is his year. If he wants to do something special, this is it. If not, then he kind of get washed down.
Yeah, I just think that the O line is bad. I mean, I know that they brought on Evan Neal, and the offense is just really stale.
They got the Bills OC now, Josh
Yeah,
Allen.
yeah, for sure. So we'll see what he can do in terms of getting creative and getting him in space.
I would love to get him the 4th round pick, but no, he went 3rd. So
Well,
yeah.
And then Derrick Henry. You seen the post. You seen how? I mean, obviously, if you're gonna win now, you do it. But I just don't like spending. If I'm gonna do Derrick Henry, he's got to be some like he has to like miraculously fall to like the 5th round or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry, he's entering age 28. Just put up a post on the page. Basically, no one has been in the top 12 or no, 3 people in the last like 5 to 10 years, and that was Mark Ingram, Cordell Patterson just last year, and then LaShawn McCoy. And Mark Ingram, he had like 30 passes caught, but the other 2, they were heavily involved in the passing game and with 50 plus receptions. Derrick Henry has never had over 20 receptions in a season.
A lot of people were out on him last year, and it was like a miracle that he was just being like a monster in fantasy until like he broke his foot or whatever. But like a lot of people were not sold on him going into the year. Like he was a little overrated. He shouldn't be going at top 5 running back or top 3 running back. He proved people wrong. So maybe he'll do it again this year. But it's just another year added to his belt though.
Right. So Derrick Henry there. So this team, we have Taylor, we have Wilson and Henry and Rodgers, which we'll get to in Pittman. So this team started off very win now. I mean, this is probably, if you're going to, obviously, the Derrick Henry pick I don't love, but I mean, if you're talking about just win now, I mean, Derrick Henry is a monster if he stays healthy in terms of the scoring. Like, if you're going to get 0.15 points per every rushing attempt, it's a good pick. So I do see him along with Grandma Cookies, the guy I traded with, both competing. I think Grandma's Cookies will be in a better shape in terms of long-term prospects, but we'll see what happens there. And then Kadarius Toney, the weirdest, dumbest pick of the draft.
That was the craziest pick I've seen in my life. It's funny because Anthony called me out in chat, said I reached for Lance, and then I was like, maybe like a few picks, and then I was kind of defending it. And then he comes around and does that, and I'm like, there's no way you could talk shit about my pick.
Yeah, I mean, The only, I mean, we
Tony,
talked about this. Yeah, we talked about this. That like, I mean, the good thing is that he is like trending, and he is younger. He didn't reach for a veteran, which is there's not you can't justify this pick. But he did talk to me before the draft, and he said that he's a huge Tony fan.
oh boy,
So yeah, so we'll see. I
could
mean,
go.
he could pop. It's just more so that he
Like I
could have
told
still picked him
in the fourth, or
rounds
fifth,
later.
or sixth, seventh. Like I told you,
Yeah,
like even if he does pop and have a great season, he's not having a better season than the Cup did last year, and look where Cup went, or Debo did last year, and look where Debo went. Like he still put third round capital into it. So if you picked him
yeah.
like ninth and he pops like a near Debo season, then yeah, he could. Yeah, that's good. That's you could flip that, or you can. Oh, it'd be good for your team or whatever. Because you put
Yep.
ninth round, seventh round capital into it, but you put third round capital into it.
Yeah, that's just way too much. So I think we know what's going to happen with that. And then I went Matthew Stafford. So here, obviously, I started um, trading out the first, end up getting Lamb, and then end up getting T Higgins here. And then obviously, like okay, like we talked about earlier, it's the third round. Once you get into the fourth, fifth round, it could be getting really weird in terms of getting a quarterback.
Yes.
So when I got Trevor Lawrence, there was not regret, but I was like, okay, I love Trevor Lawrence. I love him as a buy low candidate right now. But I was like, fuck, damn, did I do the right thing in terms of getting Stafford? And then I was basically, I didn't show it as much, but I was sweating it. I was like, oh shit, like would it be great if I can get Stafford here? And I just thought that for sure, these guys like I don't know. I just thought the text gab, like right here, text gab. Like I think I texted you
Russell
this.
Wilson and Stafford, yeah.
Yeah, like Russell Wilson, Stafford, and Jonathan Taylor, like that's a great win now start. I just thought him or Anthony, we live in LA. Like I think that he's always listening hear about the Rams and Stafford. I just thought I didn't think Chi-Town. I don't think he was gonna go there, but I thought
Yeah.
Tex Gab or Anthony would go Stafford. So obviously it made me feel better about going Lawrence at 3-6 because they're interchangeable at that point. Yeah, I can go Stafford at 3-6 and swap them, and then I got Lawrence at the end of the third. Like I'm good with that. And then we have Diggs with Gene. So
Still will now. Still win that team, which is Dix is gonna be probably a top six receiver next year.
yeah, for sure. And then you had Nick Chubb. This is probably a team that I didn't like the most. I like the least out of all the teams probably. Um, we're at the
It
what 37-minute mark, so we'll kind of start
fly
evaluating
through this a
teams
little bit.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyler Murray, C
Great
Mac.
value.
Okay, great. Yeah, Kyler Murray, great value. C Mac, it's about right.
I
And
get
Nick
it.
Chubb. Nick Chubb's one of those guys where like he's always underrated, but he continues to produce. Like people are always scared of, what is Baker Mayfield the quarterback situation. Obviously you have Kareem Hunt. What is the split gonna look like? But it's like he's still like he always produces. Like he just continues to produce.
Yeah.
Would I have drafted him there? I don't know, but solid pick still nonetheless. And then you go. It's just a weird team because you go Nick Chubb and C-Mac, but then you go Garrett Wilson. And a little background, he is a Jets fan, so I
Yeah.
can probably understand why he went that right.
Yeah.
And then you go Hawkinson, and then he just went like, I mean, he just
Tons of
basically
receiver. It's just stuck in the
yeah,
middle. It's just stuck in the middle. You went one now and then kind of went for the future. And I get the thinking a little bit, but I don't know. Which I would like to go one way or another, kind of sell yourself for a championship or sell yourself for like a top three pick and kind of prepare yourself for a championship for the next 2 years if you're not going to do it for this year. Um, but like I think him and Chi-Town weren't really trading with anybody. They weren't really active. So if you're going to make moves, if you're going to reach for a little bit, at least trade back a few spots, get another asset is what I would say, and then make that
right.
pick. So I mean, you got to keep that in mind that he wasn't trading with anybody, so he did have to reach for a little bit more than anyone else would.
Yeah, for sure. So he goes Garrett Wilson, Nick Chubb, Garrett Wilson, Waddle. Obviously, huge surprise there. I think we both probably had him in the third round. Obviously, so that was a good value there for them to go Hurts, Cook, Diggs, Waddle. You still have,
Fields Fields in the fifth is good, but his team's just so bad, man.
Yeah. The Bears situation is bad, and it's like you don't get the warm and fuzzies that like you get from like the other teams, like the Jets or the Jaguars, that actually okay, you know what, we're gonna go all in.
Tried
It
a
just
little
seems
bit.
like they're just leaving him on a fucking island, and just
Yeah,
said, "Fuck
man.
it, you'll figure it out."
Yeah.
So really not sure what the Bears gonna do. Then he went Cook
James
here.
Cook.
Yeah, he traded away his six pick 6-2 to Patrick Buster for a future first. So yeah, Fields,
If
and then
you
he went Cook.
see if you're gonna trade away your six this year for a future first, I wish you didn't pick Dalvin Cook in the second.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know, so that's just the situation. Or Diggs in the third. At least pick players that would kind of help you out more towards next year, like Hall or something like that. Or
Yeah.
um, but
Then he
James
then he
Cook is yeah.
he kind of went back and forth, like Bob and weave, like into like, what do you want to do? You want to win? Like Jalen Hurts could be both, but he's more of a for sure thing this year. Cook,
Mhm.
but now Diggs, and then Waddle. So I mean, like you get Jalen Hurts was a reach. Dalvin Cook was probably the biggest one where it was like, what are you doing? And then Diggs, that's probably around the
Yeah,
best player available
yeah,
there.
makes sense.
Waddle, best player
Waddle has
available.
good value. I was thinking about Waddle in the third, but I'm just not sold on Tua and Tyreek Hill there. But
Yeah.
I do like Waddle. The player, that the fucking talent he is, I like.
Then Fields, he gets his quarterback thinking, okay, I got my young quarterback. I mean, this first five, obviously outside of Cook, is understandable. Obviously you reached with Hurts, but if Hurts does hit and he takes a step forward, this could be this could. I mean, obviously Cook is what it is. Hopefully he can trade him. That's just terrible. I can justify Diggs some way, but I just
Yeah,
can't flip it. I can't flip it in a way where I would love Cook at 2-2. But
I
if
mean, Cook might be
Fields
off
and
the team
Hurts
next year,
hits,
right?
Cook, yeah, he could be somewhere else. Yeah, I think they have an opt out for that contract. But Hurts and Fields, if he hits on both of those guys, then obviously this team becomes, you get your two young quarterbacks for good, then you're solid. Then you have Waddle. Then this turned into, you swap them out. You can kick Cook and see whatever you get from him. This turns into Hurts and Fields. They both hit, and you have Waddle, and then obviously you have Diggs and whatever else you did with the rest of the draft. But if the quarterbacks hit, I don't think he's in bad shape, but he needs them to hit. He needs Hurts to hit.
Yeah,
And then you have James Cook, and then Connor. It's one of those like bobbing and weaving, going in and out of what are you trying to do.
and
Um,
Claypool, Kirk, Claypool. Yeah, I mean, we start three flexes, so he's gonna have to start Claypool and Kirk.
and then he just said fuck the running back position after that. He got
It's a
obviously he got
little.
Kyron Wood.
People started going a little kicker and defense a little early here once they started filling out their starting lineup, which I didn't get. I waited to the very last two rounds just to finish that out.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to see. I mean, I love me a good receiver, young receiver, but I mean, he even got like older receivers like Shepard. I don't know how
Robbie
old Barrios, but
Anderson.
Robbie Anderson, Devontae Parker's a little older now. Julio Jones is goddamn 35 almost.
No,
So I would like to see if there's more younger backs or backs that could jump in and pop on the scene and overachieve. Maybe use them to compete, maybe use them to trade, but no backs there. What grade would you give this draft?
uh, D minus.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it.
That'll be too hard, but D minus.
Yeah, again, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give my boy Gene. I'm gonna give him a D. I think because he reached almost every pick. Jalen Hurts was way too high. Dalvin Cook way too high. Diggs and Waddle and Fields were justifiable.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, 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 yeah.
but then he traded the six, which is not weird, but I mean, if considering that you got Dalvin Cook and Diggs, six is a great value. Like that's where you get that's 6 and 5 to 7 is those are key players. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a D. I'm gonna give it a D. Let's go to Bubba's team. So we're just gonna go across the board.
yeah, yeah.
I'm giving before we go to Bubba, I'm giving this team an F.
An
I
F.
think this is I think this is the
Um,
worst. I think this was the worst
I'd give it
because
a
what do you what do
C.
you what do you what do you I mean outside of Kyler Murray, and then obviously you have C-Mac. But like, I mean, you got to think of the whole picture of his whole roster construction. What do you like about it? That I mean, he obviously has
His
got young
second
receivers.
quarterback, he doesn't have. Yeah, I didn't realize the second quarterback is so bad. But he did get some
Yeah,
good receive. He did eat a lot of my rookie receivers up that I was hoping would come to me, like Christian Watson and Scott Moore. I wasn't big on
right.
Olave. I didn't think Garrett Wilson would give it to me. Um,
This fool drafted Mark Ingram. Oh yeah, definitely an F.
yeah, his quarterback spot's not the best.
Um,
Yeah, C minus. I don't know. I prefer his draft over. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. Yeah,
Maybe
we'll
D.
see. So
Maybe
yeah,
D.
I'm giving it an F. You get okay. Then you got there Bubba. All right, let's hit Bubba's team. Bubba's got Dak. He's got Cooper Cup, Carr, Jones, Eckler. So obviously this has got to be a win now team.
Yeah,
And he's
two
got
great running backs for this year, one of the best receivers for this year, and two of the better quarterbacks for this year. And then a Kenny Pickett quarterback for the future. So I
yeah.
like it. Some good value.
This started off okay. I think Aaron Jones is going to get an insane volume in terms of receiving perspective as well. Eckler, obviously, we know that he's going to get an insane volume receiving. Yeah, Kenny Pickett, and then you got Knox. Yeah, that's okay. Sutton, I like it. I think Sutton. I think Judy obviously has the talent over just the raw talent over Sutton, but I think Sutton
Yeah,
actually matches up better for Russell Wilson's style of play in terms of the
bombs
deep
away.
ball and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Sutton there, it's a decent pick there. Got Hunter Renfro, Damian Pierce to see kind of his dart there to see what happens with him. Tyler Lockett. I don't know who's going to be throwing deep balls to Tyler Lockett, but um, then you have Alan Lazard. That's a nice shot in the dark there.
Yeah.
Kenny Galladay, T. Davis Price, Melvin
Alberto.
Gordon.
He has a
uh,
pretty deep. I guess it's pretty deep. Like he has more. Like look at all those picks he made. Like he made a lot of picks.
yeah, I know he owned like round what 13 to 15 or something like that. I remember him having
Yeah.
a lot of picks. I traded with
Yeah.
him actually.
It's a lot. Yeah, me too.
Um,
He has my what was that like my sixth and seventh or something like that. I think I traded it back and he got those picks.
yep, yep, yep. So, yeah, I'm looking at this. What would you give him? Um, he got Ingram, who I think what people were higher on until they got what Williams from Kansas City.
Yeah, I don't like his
Uh,
measurables, but I give up.
you see me pick up my boy?
I
You see
did.
me? Yeah,
Wait, so he drafted him and you picked him up or what?
yeah.
You
He
dropped him?
drafted him and he dropped him, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
I
Yeah. So
didn't
I
see
had to
that.
pick him up. I think I dropped Brian
I'll give
Edwards or
him
some shit.
a C plus, B minus, C plus, B minus, B minus, C plus.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
C minus, B minus.
I think out of these three, the back three, I think I probably like this team the best. I
Oh
think
yeah, 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 definitely, definitely.
Dak and Carr, you got solid win now. You see how long quarterbacks play. These guys, you can lock them in for at least 5 years each.
Yeah,
Dak
no
probably
doubt.
longer than that. Cup,
But the thing is with
um,
Derek Carr's contract, he re-signed his contract or renewed his contract, but he like has more money to it,
yep,
but there's no guaranteed money. So the Raiders can kind of cut him whenever.
for sure.
It's a little sticky.
So let's get to
But
Anthony's team.
I don't see how they would do that.
Let's get to Anthony's team here. We got Justin Jefferson, Deshaun Watson, Kadarius Toney, Cam Akers, Montgomery, Dalton Schultz, and Ayuk Cousins. So that first 8 picks, man, if you just take away Tony, I
If he
think the
went
first
if he went Diggs instead of Tony, or even Waddle or Metcalf instead of Tony, would
this
look a lot
team would be
better.
looking decent. This team would look
Yeah,
pretty good.
he reached on Ayuk a bit too. I think.
Oh, for
Uh,
sure. I think I got him in the ninth
yeah,
in the other league.
yeah. I was kind of targeting him, but then he went so early. I was like, okay, you got him.
But he
And
made
then
up
the
for it with
Cousins.
Cousins. I
That was
think,
that's a good pick right there, where he went seventh or eighth or wherever that is. I like
yeah,
that. I like that's good value for Cousins. He's going to be in the league for a while, for
yep.
at least another 3-4 years. Um,
Dotson. You got
we just have so many flexes in this league, and he didn't really nail home the receiver spot. Jefferson, Tony, Ayuk is his wide receiver too, pretty much.
Right.
Watson, like, who knows how good he'll be this year? He's a rookie, and Ben Jefferson's a wide receiver 3 or 4. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you got kicker going in the 12th round.
It's another example. If you want to reach for your guys, like trade back, trade around. Like maybe they didn't want to put effort into it, but if you want to reach for your guys, trade around, get some more assets, trade back. If you're gonna like get a Ayuk there, go back 5 spots. Like he'll be there. He will be
Yeah.
there. If you look at mock drafts, he's always there at 7 or 8 or 9. So if you want to reach at the end of the 6th or start of the 5th or whatever, trade back, get another pick, get another future asset, get your guy. But then you got another fucking bullet in the chamber. Is that the same?
Yeah. I'm gonna give him a. I'm gonna give him a D plus C minus, and the reason why I'm not giving him an F is because he has Justin Jefferson, Deshaun Watson, which I love. Cam Akers could be something special. Then Montgomery is what it is, but he's a solid back. You got a terrible O line, terrible offensive situation, but Dalton Schultz, he could be something there. And then he got quarterbacks like right at the right time, and
His first 5
Cousins.
picks are good, except for Tony. But his first
And then
5 picks are solid.
Mayfield could be something. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens with him. He could be traded
Good
somewhere,
pick.
and then he could,
Good pick.
and then he could be someone that should have been in like the this range 9-10.
But then he got a kicker real early, super early. That was wild. I never would have imagined he got it like in the 9th or 10th or whatever, and then he doubled down on the kicker in like the 22nd.
Yeah, you can never have too many kickers, huh?
Yep, that's what they say.
D. So what grade are you giving him?
C.
Okay.
Minus.
Throwing the minus. All right. So we're at the 51-minute mark. So let's try to cruise this. We got Tex Gab. Gabe obviously made the trade there with you in the beginning. So win now. Jonathan Taylor, Russell Wilson, Derrick Henry, Rodgers, Pittman, who I'm actually pretty high on this year. Pittman. We'll see what the quarterback situation is after 2 years or so. But Pittman, I think, is going to be surprise a lot of people. Josh Jacobs. Again, these are picks like Derrick Henry. Do I love it in terms of dynasty? No, but in terms of redraft, in terms of winning now, this is the right. Josh Jacobs. Uncertainty about his contract, of course, get it. But he is the starting running back right now. He still is only 24. This year, he's going to be the starting running back for the Ravens or the Raiders. So this is in terms of winning now.
Yeah, there's a theme here. I like it. The running backs, he reached a little bit more than I would for each of the running backs. It's kind of why the reason I kind of did not pick a running back. Like it was just all these running backs being sucked early. No homo. But like he only has 3-4 receivers in the first 20 rounds. So he's going to play a lot of running backs, and you know how volatile and how much of an injury risk they are. But let's say he got a lot of running backs that I would have liked to pick, like Stevenson, Patterson. I was hoping would fall a lot later. Harris, I was hoping to get like Jacobs, even like in the 6th, 7th, 8th. I was shooting for. But it's a good team here. It was obviously a win now once he made that trade with me.
Right.
But it is a good team. It's better of a team than the other two were kind of like mix and match. I'll give it a B minus. I wish you kind of would have not picked Patterson or Stevenson there and kind of double dipped in the receiver. But like he did go running back early, and I feel like he had to do that in this room because they were going a little earlier than usual.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give him a B plus because I like this in terms of you're going to sell out, then you do it. I think running backs, he's going to start them, but the cutoff, for example, we're not 3 running backs and 2 flexes. We're 2 running backs. You put Taylor in and Henry, that's firmly locked in. You're going to have the best running backs in the league by far. Then you got Wilson and Rodgers. You're set there. And then receivers, we start 3, but I think you and I talked about this. You got Pittman and Amon St. Brown, which Williams is going to, in terms of setting off and waiting for Hopkins, Williams is going to need some time. He's not going to be starting week 1. At least we don't anticipate that. And on top of that, on the flip side, Russell Gage. Russell Gage is going to get more play in the beginning. We'll see when Chris Godwin comes back. So these 2 guys that are going to get increased volume are going to make up for the D-Hop being out. And then, obviously, when D-Hop comes back, I think that receiver, when you start plugging him in the lineup, I think, you go down the list, you'll see Wilson, Rogers, Taylor, Henry, Jacobs and Elliott, and then you got Pittman and D Hop and St. Brown. I think this team is going to be a force to be reckoned with for sure.
Yeah. If they stay healthy, like this is with the way our league is set up, each running back, their like projected scores outshoots every receiver pretty much, unless it's like a top 5 receiver. But it's hard to you could give carries to almost any running back in the depth chart. You can't give targets to every receiver, and like you got to be a talented receiver to earn targets. You know what I mean?
Right.
A running back could go down, and you can get this fucking Texas Tech running back 20 carries. You know what I mean? You can't just get this Texas Tech freaking receiver 20 targets. It's that's the way I see it.
So yeah, we'll see. Then we have Chi-Town. Chi-Town went Jackson, Pitts, Barkley, Moore, ETN.
I like this. I like this. Yeah, this is more up my alley.
Yep. Tua. I think we've seen in the mock drafts that we started to see that he's going to draft kind of a team similar to what we would like.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of picks that I disagree with. Barkley was a little bit too early, but it's okay. Moore, that's good. ETN.
I was hoping ETN come back.
Yeah,
that's one of the hero RBs I was aiming for, but it didn't work out.
If I didn't already have T Law, I might have went ETN, but I'm not cornering. I'm not getting share into the Jag. I'm not getting ETN and
You're not double dip into the Jags offense.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm good. So and with Drake London still there, I'm gonna go Drake London. But Travis Etienne, Tua, that's good.
So this is a different example of staying put, but kind of getting more value of where you're at instead of reaching for you guys. So this is I like this B+.
Yeah. Allen Robinson got a solid, veteran guy that should pop off, and then you went, got some younger guys, Dave Bell, Alec Pierce. You got James Robinson, who could, if you're going, he kind of got a insurance on his investment in Travis Etienne, so that definitely ties together. Daniel Jones, that's a great third, to have another quarterback who could do better. He may not ever be special, but he could pop off in terms of redraft and having a decent year this year. Daniel Jones, Brian Robinson, got Pacheco, Hamler, Batty. I mean, he's got Brevin Jordan. I would give this team, I'd give this team an A-. I'd give this team, no, I'm gonna give this team an A. 'Cause I think at this point, I love everything about it. I feel like I'm just giving him an A- just to spite him.
I think plus house money here, like he doesn't really have people there in their prime. Like he doesn't have people that like Ezekiel Elliott's or the Dalvin Cooks where they won't be contributors most likely next year. I'm pretty sure he still has his first round pick next year too.
Yep, he still has his first next year.
So this is a house money year. Barkley, if he just a monster as a lot of people think he will be this year, like it could pop off this year, but. Maybe that's 89% for me. Borderline A. I like this draft. Solid draft. Good shit, Jack.
Then you have me. I obviously went the Donald. I have Lamb, Higgins, Lawrence, Stafford, Drake London, Chris Godwin, Scary Terry, AJ Dillon and Sanders, Goddard, Cooks, Algier, Singletary, Matt Corral, Boyd, Davis, Ingram, Dobbs, Chandler, Moss, and Edwards, so on. So I won't grade my own damn team. So I'll let you grade it on the air. What do you got?
What assets do you have next year?
I have the two first.
Two first. Your first and someone else's first. I'll give it a B+. B+. I mean, I love Higgins. I like Drake London. Godwin, I nearly picked. Scary Terry, not huge on. Trevor Lawrence, Stafford. I love those two quarterbacks right there. You could even flip them to make them look better. Would have picked Stafford first and Lawrence second. That would look better. AJ Dillon, Sanders, you had to pick a running back eventually, kind of like I did. Goddard, one of the better tight ends this year. Cooks, value, he's just a fucking top 15 receiver almost for the last 20 years. Algier's potential to be a locked and loaded RB1 for Falcons. Singletary, he's in and out the best offense of the league. I mean, moved around, but still found value on the board. Still picked up guys that are movable if they pop off this year too. You're not completely sold into this year. Um,
Yep.
still have flexibility, fluidity into next year too, which I'm all about.
Yeah, I think as you can see in my bench here, I really started to pivot on what I want to do with my bench. I wanted obviously to get some guys that I believed in terms of like young talent. Challenger, you see me get him in the other league. Uh, Dobbs, I like him too, but I wasn't too high at this point. I felt like I'm gonna have some by that time. I'm gonna have probably a ton of picks, probably about 5 or 6 picks. Then I'm gonna replace a lot of these guys. So I wanted some guys that can actually produce this year as well that aren't old as fuck, but they can produce like Tyler Boyd. If like Higgins were to go down at any point, he could instantly spring himself into a higher position.
I wanted
Corey,
him from my Spurs stack.
yeah, Corey Davis, Ingram. We'll see. Obviously, I got Trevor Lawrence. We'll see what he can do this year. And then I finally got Zach Moss. Obviously, they have Cooks there, but wanted to get Zach Moss as well just in case. Edwards, I don't have anymore, so on and so forth. And then obviously the little if Mixon goes down, which I'm pretty high on Chris Evans. P Ryan is whatever. Obviously he's gonna probably get first crack, but Evans I'm actually
Yeah,
high on.
he's more
Then we'll go to
third down back, but
yeah.
yeah, Zach Wilson I think is your biggest asset going forward. If he pops off, you can hit a lottery ticket with that and kind of trade him to another team that is kind of lacking a quarterback too. So if he pops off, man, you probably moved a B. I say B or B plus, more towards a
Yeah,
B
so
minus.
we'll see what happens. Then we have your team. We have Joe Burrow, Trey Lance, Mark Andrews, Deontay Johnson, Traylon Burks, Elijah Moore, Judy, Elijah Mitchell, Devontae Smith, Madison Moore, Mills, Ronald Jones, Robinson, Valdez, Scant leading up, Gus Bus, Haskins, and Mack, and then see younger backs in Ford Connor. Um, I love Joe Burrow, Lance. I think it was a good pick. Again, all jokes aside, I don't think it was a terrible pick. It just obviously the risk that's associated with it. But
I don't think
obviously
there's
guys
much
a
though.
lot. You said what?
I don't think there's much of a risk though.
You
Like,
don't think there's a risk at all for a guy that hasn't played? He only played 2 games, started.
well, there
Uh,
is. It's not like a huge risk. I don't know. I just feel
yeah,
like if
that's
Jimmy
the risk.
G, it is a baby risk. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you need Lance to hit because if Lance does not hit, then
I got
this,
Davis Mills.
yeah, huh?
I
Oh,
got Davis Mills.
like if Lance were,
No,
if for whatever reason not to be like I don't know, he just ends up being, I don't know, whatever. But it's neither here nor there. Trey Lance he's a good pick, but obviously he comes with risk, right? Um, and then you have Mark Andrews, good value, Traylon Burks, which we're both were pretty high on. I think he might be your receiver one. I don't know, but I think he's my receiver two in terms of rookie, right after Drake London. So
it's pretty close.
um, DJ, whom I love. We'll see what happens with the new quarterback situation. It seemed
Yeah,
like Big Ben for whatever how trash he was, he kind of fit perfectly for the like DJ situation in terms of PPR, like a bunch of
yeah.
volume, like short passes. But I like DJ, of course. Judy Moore. Yeah, so just moving things along, I think I'd give this grade probably around the same B to B plus. It's just I think you probably agree to yourself that you would have left with a little bit better running back situation, like I don't know. Uh,
Maybe if I would have went for Net instead of Judy, but still that would have sold me more into this year. Judy kind of gives me
yeah,
more of better investment going into the future. I mean, the Fournette and Connor was kind of the best I was aiming towards to the Mitchell and Smith range, but they went before that.
right.
But yeah, like I said earlier, I just kept on pushing running back. Like I didn't want to reach for running back yet. I think they're pretty interchangeable. Receiver value was there. I moved around in the border lines, you can tell. But if Cook leaves for some reason, I got Madison there, who I'm pretty high on.
Yeah.
Um, And Ronald Jones, for some reason, I feel like they just hate CEH. CEH doesn't get any play time. Like they always find a reason to not play him, and maybe Ronald Jones finally hits on some magic, and he's locked and loaded into one of the better offenses in the league. So I'm okay with not being. I love the fluidity I got into going into next year. I did trade back into most of my spots. Like I didn't trade up at all, pretty much. Or yeah, I didn't trade up at all. I traded back almost every pick. I got a first next year. I got an extra second next year, and I still love my situation going into this year, except for running back. But
cool. So let's do one more team. We'll do Marcel's team. Someone who didn't move around until the end, but he went Chase, Hall, Swift, Metcalf, Dobbins, Fournette, Waller, Brady, Davis, Winston, Carter, Mechie, Penny, Goff, Peoples-Jones, Trey Sermon, Jamal Williams to kind of back the Swift for insurance, Calvin Austin, Hayden Hurst, Fuller. I think I could. I think I can't give this. I think I'd probably end up giving it a B minus. I can't give it anything higher than that, considering the quarterback situation. I just can't. Even with Tom Brady and Jameis Winston, you can potentially have both could not be starters next year. Golf, I think there's a potential
70 points, 60 points missing for your team next year.
Yeah, there's a potential out, and Golf is never, I think there's a potential out for his contract. So I think this is a good. I think this would be a good win now team if Winston pops and he does okay. I think he'll be competing. We talked about it, meaning him and I, about Waller. I don't like that pick, like at all. I think he should have. This is where he should have probably went Zach Wilson. Yeah, and Darren Waller, 30-year-old tight end, and they get Devontae Adams, who's going to eat up a bunch of targets in the red zone. I mean, it's not like a Tyreek Hill. Devontae Adams is going to eat up targets in the red zone as well.
If you knew he was going to get Brady a couple rounds down, would you prefer to go Mike Evans over Fournette, or would you rather prefer to have 4 running backs than the triple threat of Chase, Metcalf, Evans?
Oh, that's tough. Yeah, I probably would have. That's tough because it's tough because you got to take it. It's if you knew, I would have to know that before, because then I wouldn't have gone Dobbins. I would have went like Pittman or something like that right here, and then Fournette. It's
lots of fun picks. Like Chase is a really fun pick, and it's exciting. It's exciting, but I don't know. Tom Brady, he might retire next year. Winston, like we talked about that, but he has got like 3 really good running backs that will pop this year. If Hall hopefully gets a lot of playing time, he could get the Javonte Williams treatment, and then he could just end up. And then Dobbins from injury, I'm invested in him too. Fournette, he'll get a lot of touches. They're paying to get their money's worth with Fournette. They paid him so. And then Davis, Mechie, Metcalf, Chase, Metcalf. I'll give it a B minus.
Yeah, I'll give it a B minus. That's it. And then also, I don't like his risk. Like, if anything were to happen to his receivers, what the hell is he going to do?
Yeah, like Ross, if Metcalf goes out, it's just Chase and Gabriel Davis. And then
and then that's like terrible. Like, I mean, even for a bye week, who are you going to put in? Are you going to put Tolbert in? Ross, like receive. We don't. We start 3 receivers. So Chase or Metcalf or Davis, God forbid if any of them get hurt or any of them have the same bye week, I don't know. It'll be terrible, but we'll see. That's going to wrap up. I think that's good. We covered up a good amount of the draft. Thank you guys for listening in.
Mike Espy, we'll get back to y'all.
Yes, exactly. So thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, this is a redraft league that we converted to Dynasty for the first year this year after doing redraft for about 7 years or so. We're super excited. Obviously, today you've seen the video of the inception before the league, and I'm sure we'll do follow-up videos to kind of see our progress on what are these values these players have in terms of value mid-season and after the season. So once again, thank you for tuning in for the Average Joe Sports Podcast. As always, it's your boy Don in LA, and this is my boy Albert. So without further ado, we